Hello and welcome to a speed build. My name's Sarah and this is a house called Upland Place. It's in the Del Sol category. Um, the style of the house at the front didn't really match the neighborhood, so right away I decided to start outside. I put the same columns from the house next door, but recolored because I really liked that blue door that was on there, so I wanted to keep that. I went with some gray theme shingles. Same thing to match the next door neighbor's house. As you can see, like the windows are different, so the style is a little different than the neighbors because I didn't want it to be exactly the same, but I did want it to kind of fit in. I also really did not understand the landscape that they had out here, so I decided to kind of fit the theme of the city by making it more deserted theme, since that is what the city's agriculture more appropriately like would fit for it. I felt like there was a lot of grass, which I was kind of surprised about, but I felt like the sand was really bright and it. So I took another color and kind of went over it to dull it down a bit. That cactus to the left over there by the garbage can, that's like that typical cactus you would see in movies and things like that. I thought it kind of reminded me of like the emojis and things like that. So I couldn't put it quite in the front of the house, but I wanted to use it. Uh, Over here, you can see me moving the fence. I realized that this whole lot went all the way down there and that they kind of creatively made it like a smaller lot, but at the same time, like I just felt like that was a huge waste of space. So I took out the fence, I moved it over. I got rid of the road that they kind of put in there and just redrew the fence line. You'll see me actually move the fence line again over to the right to kind of put those cypress trees along the edges to create that privacy that I noticed the rest of the city also had. Kind of gives it an additional private feeling. You'll see me fiddle with the fence here to make the gate or the opening a little larger before I go into kind of fixing the look with the landscape. I kind of tried to match the terrain. Then I went into what I guess I would call the garage, but since they don't have cars in The Sims 4, which I think is really weird since The Sims 3 had cars, almost like it was a step backwards to get rid of them, I decided to make it a garage, but not use hidden objects. If you don't know about that, that's that cheat where you can basically use all these hidden objects that are just objects for looks in the debug category. So I really don't like to use those items too much just because your sim does walk through them like they're not there most of the time. And since it's unplayable, it just seems more unnecessary unless it's kind of like clutter, which then is already clutter and you're not using anyways. So that's really the only debug options I really use are kind of the clutter look. So instead of putting a car there, at the very end, you'll see me go inside and just basically make it a space for your hobbies. You can put any of the, it's such a good space for like large items for hobbies or anything your sim might be into. Just in the front, trying to make it kind of match the front of the house, putting the columns with fence. We've got agave tree plants and so on. Added a couple palm trees to kind of match uh, the feeling out here. I love this palm tree, but I just can't figure out how to place it without the bottom of it looking weird. Like I want to hide the stump. I wish I could get it to go over a house like that without the trunk looking so weird. In the end, I settled for this type of palm tree, added a plant in front of it from Island Living, and two more colorful plants from Island Living as well that say that it's okay to be in like the sandy area. Next, we head inside right away. I had to get rid of that long hallway. It just was so unnecessary and such a waste of space. Um, that was like the first thing I knew that it needed to go. I kind of had a hard time figuring out how to fix it all the way, but then I realized I really didn't need to keep the porch over to the right. So I moved it to the left in order to make it so that the porch would come off of the kitchen. And I think that really makes it more practical to have a porch right off the kitchen instead of like a bedroom. I swap out some of those windows to match the room that they're in. Still stuck on that bedroom. I really wanted it to turn it into two bedrooms, but I just felt like I couldn't put the bedroom in the front of the house because it just seems like the front of the house would be like that living room entranceway. So I end up putting the bathroom kind of in the middle, but on the other side of where it started. Kept the bedroom really big, and you'll kind of see what I do with that later. I split up the kitchen from the dining room and kind of make that dining room. I put these beams up on the top and I kind of close the walls in. This kind of creates that feeling of open concept, but not fully open concept. Because I think realistically, this house is not like a newer house, and it wouldn't have just a whole bunch of open concept feeling. It would have more like separate rooms. So I had those beams in there. I didn't think it really felt like it fit the home until I added those columns. Once I got those columns in there, I felt a lot better of how it looked. Next, I add in a fireplace along the wall. I think it fits perfectly with the type of house it is. I fixed the flooring that was wonky over by the entrance. It was a different direction, just in like two squares, kind of awkward. I ended up going with a linoleum. I kind of had this impression that this house, was like an older house, but the Sims who owned it decided to do a renovation of the kitchen since it was so outdated. And so like they did this suburban renovation, right? They put in like this linoleum from like the early 2000s or something and kind of renovated it to match their preference back then, but kind of like left the rest of the house and kind of just put in their own feeling. You'll see me here fiddling with the table and the chairs to make that our dining room. Uh, you'll, I can't remember next what I did. Oh, I just was kind of making sure that the doors fit and everything. Next, I came into the living room, and I was just so stumped on the style that I was going for that I kind of started with the mission feeling, and decided like that's just not what I was going for. So you'll see me fiddle with some desks. I end up getting rid of the desks and replacing them with two really large bookcases. I think it fit the feeling of the house. Like I said, kind of an older feeling house that they wanted to update and are just kind of doing it room by room. So here they've got the two old bookcases. I get rid of the desk completely and I put in these, what they call like basic armchairs. They remind me so much of that movie Up, where at the beginning, where the old man and the old woman are sitting together and just reading books. And I just love that movie. The soundtrack, too, of that movie is really good. Next to it, I think since I thought of the movie Up, I thought of the older couple and what might two older couples do? They could do knitting or cross stitching. I didn't like believe that it had to be an older couple because you'll see later on in the bedroom that I decide like there are kids here. So whether it's their grandkids or maybe it is a family that just really loves to be part of the creative world, whatever that can be, you'll see that. I'm typing in a cheat, realized that I did not do the hidden objects until now. So I got a whole bunch of the hidden objects from the knitting pack. Basically, these are objects that you can knit, but you can't place without that hack. So I wanted to put some pieces that the couple or whoever lives here kind of like created and kind of decorate the bookshelves with pieces that they already created. So you see me put in that octopus and penguin, cute little teddy bear, trying to make it so that it kind of sits next to it. Oh, if you don't know, that red shelf is an MC mod that we use to help make sure it sits on different things that don't have placement tiles. If you kind of can see where things are clicking into place, and you don't really want it to sit exactly where the game intends it to sit. So that's a really cool tool to be able to really add to your clutter and to just bookcases and things like that. Because otherwise, those shelves right there would have just been empty based upon what the game had. They had like two shelves that worked, but that was it. And I just didn't think that was enough for how many bookcases there were and how big of shelves there were. So I moved the couches over a little bit, add a lamp to give some lighting, fitting that theme of the chairs. I add that rug, also a hidden object that you can knit. And I thought, oh, if they're knitting, like they would decorate this house with a ton of their knitted things. Right here, you can see me using a knitting shelf, and I stuck a mirror inside of it because I thought that was such a cute little entrance thing, kind of like a shelving for your keys or for whatever junk you might throw when you're leaving, but you kind of want to check your hair or what you look like before you leave the house. I think it's a really practical thing. Underneath it, I end up adding a plant to just kind of make the entrance way feel homey. And like I said about that clutter, I added these also hidden objects from the knitting pack. Since they are a knitter, I would imagine that their house would be full of knitting things. So earlier you saw the cross stitching on the wall of like the whales that person could have knitted. I put these hanging baskets in here. And then I kind of fiddle with what should I put on those like awkward gaps beside the fireplace. And there's a perfect shelf, which I think is from the Cool Kitchen pack. These green ones, I turn them into white or to dark blue to match the chairs that are in the living room as well as the front door, kind of giving that whole theme of blue. I add another knitting rope basket to the left side to kind of make it once again filled with homemade objects that the couple would make. Next, I kind of wonder what I should do in that side of the living room, but I get distracted, find some fans, put the fans up, and then I move to the kitchen. So, as mentioned previously, I was getting the vibe that this family renoed the kitchen because it was so outdated. It used to be like an original to the house, but they needed to update it. They kind of kept their older appliances, but they wanted newer countertops and they wanted an island in the middle. So you'll see me putting in an island here. I fiddled for a while with this, and I'm not sure if anyone else has noticed, or maybe it's like something I'm doing wrong, but the counters, when you click like the outer and the left side pieces for this set from the Cool Kitchen, I think it's from, it like was not showing the right side. It was kind of different and it wasn't showing like the exact same side as the other one. But I ended up settling for just the left overhang from the counter, and eventually I put the garbage can underneath it to kind of make it fit a little better, because then I end up placing a toddler high chair in the other corner. See me adding some plants and like I guess you call it like a buffet or something that holds all your dishes. I add a sink with different things like soap and a cutting board with some knives in the corner, but I'm kind of getting ahead of myself here. Um, Once again, you don't have to use the shelf cheat for this part, where when you add items to the countertop, for the most part, you could just remove the counter and put the item there, just as long as it clicks to the height that you want. I am so glad that I ended up buying the Cool Kitchen set as well as the industrial pack. I know there's been kind of conflicts on what the industrial pack brings, but I did realize it had a couple of cute artwork pieces, but mostly the Cool Kitchen pack came with a lot of good kitchen clutter, like those knives on, and they have like spoons too that hang on the wall. Oh, the Country Living set. That's the one too that those pieces are from in the corner, like the cookie jar and like the bread tin. I'm looking for a shelf that fits that area. Realized it wasn't big enough, and I ended up putting it in the corner, using that shelf again to place objects on top of the shelf so it fits well. I had to move the counter because it kept trying to click down to the counter. I had one more thing from the country pack up at the top. I don't really know why those country items are under sculptures when you look under categories. I find that a little odd considering everything else is under like decorations and clutter. But I ended up finding it. Added the classic suburban pears on the wall. And then here you see me going into the ginormous bedroom. Couldn't decide if I wanted that carpet, if I could split it up. Realized I don't think you could split it up with it making sense. So I decided to put the bed over here, but in the end, you'll see me move that bed to the other window, and you'll kind of see why. Um, Here I realized, okay, it can't just be a bedroom. Well, it could just be a bedroom for a couple, but I thought maybe it's grandparents. Maybe they have their son's kids or their daughter's kids come and visit them. So I put a toddler bed and a bassinet and some toys in there. I initially put that dollhouse in the living room, but you'll see me remove it and later on put it back into the bedroom. Here's that high chair I was talking about. Move the garbage can underneath the island, like that little lip of the island. Really practical. I remember my mom always had her garbage under the island lip. Added some decorations to make it feel homey. Saw the lunchbox and got distracted, and I was like, oh, maybe the toddler like goes to preschool. So I tried to like add the backpack, realized that the backpack was way too big for a toddler, and so I just decided to like leave it out. But that little lunchbox just made me think of like a kid going to school and just like how happy they'd be to start preschool. Here I am trying to figure out how to get these curtains on a single window. One thing that I think like EA or like the Sims 4 team could really improve on is curtains. There's so many different types of windows and sizes that I understand that they can't make curtains for every size window. But if they made the curtains like fences or like walls where you could like pull it to be longer or pull the actual curtain itself to be shorter to fit the window, that would be a huge like upgrade feature. So if you need ideas, EA, there's an idea for your Sims. Here's the bathroom. I kind of thought it's a small place, used that shelf again to get the soap up there and some toothbrushes. Small space, so I love to add that wall in between since it's so long and narrow. I had to move the window over, and I always add two towels. There's never just like one sim showering in a shower, like unless it's like a single bachelor or bachelorette like style thing. So I like to have two racks to make it kind of realistic. I put the toddler like potty in there, since they're probably potty training. And then you'll see me looking for lights to fit the style. And initially I was like, okay, right, they started upgrading, so like a modern one in the dining room. And then I was like, no, I think in here is still that old style, right? Match the fireplace and everything. So you'll see me add like this cool lantern, kind of like country French vibe. Not this one, I'd actually replace it one more time. Right here, there it is. And I think that fit like the theme of the house, like it's an original piece. And here is the addition that I was talking about. So I put in a modern light or that suburban feeling light, since that would be like that upgrade. And then I come back to the bedroom and you'll see me add some end tables and some clutter on top of them, like books, because like I said, like this couple is obsessed with reading. They're like that up couple, and all those bookcases they have in the living room. But then you'll see me move the bed and everything over here. Oh, actually, before that, I was like trying to put plants here in the corner, and I was just like, I think I'm forcing the plants too much, especially in a bedroom with like a toddler, right? All their toys are in there. What's the first thing a toddler is going to do? They're going to go straight for to play in the dirt, something they're not supposed to do. So I get rid of like the plants. I don't think it really makes sense for gameplay and just like realistic life with kids to have that in the bedroom where their play stuff is. So in the end, I moved the bed over. I add a cute rocking chair. I see like the grandma and grandpa rocking the newborn to sleep. Add some toys in the corner. I had this toddler table that I end up getting rid of, moving the dollhouse into the bedroom so that I can use that corner to create like an office space. I realized since I don't want a TV in this house, I do need some sort of like fun feature for the Sims so that when they come back from work or whatever it is, that they have an outlet, or maybe even like sending emails to their kids, or, whatever it is that they want to use their computer or their desk for. I put this picture up on the wall, but it's actually not going to stay. I end up finding like this hanging plant that I just absolutely love, and go back and replace it. I did feel like I could put plants in the living room realistically. Like I said, I put one by the entrance. I think that would be more realistic of where plants would be. Creative little place. Oh, here's that hanging little succulent thing that I absolutely love. Put that above the desk instead of that modern picture, since I didn't feel like that modern picture fit perfectly. You'll see me add a guitar, since that's such a creative outlet, and this couple I envisioned being so creative. I did add a violin initially, and then I was like, I don't think like I want to add $15,000 to how much this house costs. I hang some cute little wind chimes and a birdhouse. Such a like old-timey feeling. I do add a archway so that the bamboo chimes can actually like go into the ceiling instead of like looking like they're floating. And that is like the house. Next, I moved to the patio to start working on what I wanted that to look like. I have my garbage cans nearby since the garbage gets taken out from the kitchen. I add a nice grill. I add a rug and a tabletop. And I saw this cute little lantern, and I thought that might be nice to go on like for lighting out here when it's dark out. I picked this rug. I realized the roof didn't get deleted, so I got rid of that. And I thought the rug was like a nice feeling for outside to match as well with the outside. I add a side table up against the thing. I thought that was like a nice addition, especially with cooking. Like that's kind of where you would put all your serving stuff or your drinks. And then this table, like I love it and it frustrates me at the same time. I want to just put 4 chairs. But if you only put 4 chairs, they're like oddly close together and then large gaps in between them. And so that drives me nuts. So I end up putting 6. It's either 2 or 6 with that table. There's just no in between. You'll see me adding a pool here, using the same pebbles in the format as the front, and also connecting from the garage area with those pebbles and trying to make the landscape fit. Since this was the desert area, I didn't think I wanted to really put like a whole bunch of bushes around the pool. I thought, okay, desert area, what would they use for landscaping, for like outlining things? And I thought the rock theme kind of worked well. So I kind of like took all those rocks and like turned them and made them so that they kind of look different to fit the thing. And it worked perfectly with the pool stuff because there's a pool ladder with rocks as well as like a jumping cliff diving board like right there. That's also like that rock feel, and I thought, okay, that's perfect for like that deserty feel. Lastly, I go to the garage and just make it so that it's ready for your hobbies. Thanks so much for tuning in and watching my video. If you enjoyed it, hit the like button below, subscribe, and turn on notifications if you would like to see more. Thanks for watching it. Enjoy the screenshots of